Hi, this is Jennifer Flower. I am coming to you from Prairie Township in Franklin County, Ohio. Wanted to give a quick update on the things that have been happening around the Central Ohio area the last few weeks. First of all, I wanted to highlight the ticket tax, which is the Columbus City Code, Chapter 375, admission tax. So I wrote a letter to the editor for the Columbus Dispatch. I think that this is a terrible tax. The point of the tax was to encourage the long-term development of the arts through a tax on admissions on different tickets to entertainment events like concerts, movies, things of that nature. Included in that actually is golf course green fees. Not sure how exactly that is included with the arts. However, that is one thing that is now being taxed as the tax did pass. Originally, they wanted a 7% tax on all admissions. It ended up being a 5% tax. Still, I don't agree with any taxation. However, at least they did scale it back a little bit. I think that it's still going to end up pricing families out of being able to participate in the very arts and entertainment events that this tax is meant to essentially protect. So I think it's still a terrible idea. The next topic that I wanted to discuss was the legislative pay and first responders family bill. So this is Senate Bill 296. It would increase death benefits to families of first responders who have died in the line of duty, and it was tacked onto a measure that would increase legislators' pay by $13,000 over 9 years. This would increase current legislator pay from $60,584 to $76,208 by 2028. And of course, there are additional stipends for those that are in leadership positions within the legislature. So Ohio is one of 9 states currently that has a full-time legislature. So first of all, we're a little bit odd in that respect that we even have a full-time legislature, and legislators have not received a pay raise in 10 years. Now, their base pay is still $60,584 as base pay. So I think it's completely disingenuous, first of all, to have a non-related issue combined into the same bill. So first of all, we're talking about something that would be widely supported, which is death benefits for first responders families. And that's obviously something that the public highly supports. Then you tack on something that's far more controversial. Many people don't think that the legislature is doing that great of a job to begin with, and still they add a, I believe, very steep pay increase package onto this bill that would be widely supported without that measure. The lame duck session of the General Assembly is just gambling to see if the governor would approve it based on the positive aspects of the bill, or if he would just ignore the negative aspects of the bill, the controversial parts, the pay raise for the legislators. Another issue is that Ohio has a line item veto. Basically, that means that if a bill comes to the governor's desk and the governor agrees with most parts of it but disagrees with certain aspects of it, he can literally, or she can literally write out and mark out the aspects that they do not agree with, and either send it back to the legislature for them to fix those particular sections, or it becomes enacted without those specific sections. It's literally line item veto, exactly how it sounds. So Governor Kasich could have approved the death benefits aspect of the bill without approving the pay raise aspects of the bill, and that didn't happen. He ended up actually vetoing the entire bill as a whole. Maybe that was the right decision. I'm not entirely convinced of that. What ended up happening is that the General Assembly took that bill back and overrode the veto. So it's currently approved in full with both aspects, the death benefits as well as the pay raise for legislators. I think it's completely wrong that they would go about it in this particular thoughts. So 76,000 isn't an extreme salary for a full-time position. And if you think about that, that 76,000 doesn't entirely take effect until 2028. It's really shameful that the legislator would tack on the non-related bill because the death benefits aspects are such an emotionally charged situation. And to put their own, something that they stand to gain personal, gains from onto that same bill is completely shameful, and it's wrong. And it shouldn't ever happen like that. That's kind of what I have to say on that particular topic. The last thing that I wanted to talk about is the Prairie Township administrator. Our previous administrator retired at the end of November, and after a search, a new administrator has been hired. The new administrator started on January 7th. So the previous administrator, his last reported income was from 2016, and it was $105,000. An outside firm was hired and paid $25,000 to conduct the nationwide search for the new administrator. So that's a little bit of background information on kind of what's going on with the search itself and how the position became open. Well, what does the administrator do? So the administrative office is going to assist the Board of Trustees by coordinating their meetings and activities, overseeing and coordinating township departments and their activities, and provide the board with day-to-day oversight of township business. They're going to work with the Board of Trustees and other township officials to implement the budgets for the township and do the economic development projects and economic planning for the township. Okay, a little bit about Prairie Township. So the current median individual income is $27,696. The current median household income is $54,207. The new administrator is coming in for 2019, this calendar year, with a base salary of $125,000 with an additional monthly stipend of $500 for a vehicle allowance. My initial thoughts on this is that, okay, I looked at what our current firefighters here in Prairie Township are being paid. Their average salary is $75,000. Our current road laborers' salary for the township is $59,000. Currently, our dispatcher is making $45,000. The Board of Trustees, according to the Ohio Revised Code and the pay scale that they adopted for themselves, is approximately $17,000 based on the daily stipend and how that is all calculated out. The salary for this new administrator seems to be a little bit out of context. It seems to be a little bit inflated compared to other township administrators here in Prairie Township, first of all, and second of all, with other townships in Franklin County. So really, Franklin County it's a large county, but there's a lot of independent townships outside of the city of Columbus. And when you look at those townships and compare their township administrator or their administrative staff, whether it's like a clerical administrator and a township administrator or a combination of, it seems like Prairie Township is very much on the high end of that scale. For example, another township here in Franklin County that seems to have fairly similar demographic type situation is paying their current administrator about $88,000 as of 2016. And remember, I started out this section by mentioning that the Prairie Township administrator from 2016 was actually making $105,000. So we seem to be on the higher end of that scale. That being said, I completely understand that $125,000 for that particular set of duties and responsibilities is kind of, it does seem to be a little bit more commensurate with what would be paid in the private sector. So I can understand that. However, I do just want to point out and remind that this administrator is going to be making about, just by himself, nearly 2.5 times what an average family here in the township is making, and about 5 times what an average individual in the township is making. And I think that that's something that we should be very concerned about, and that's something that should be discussed widely before that is ever enacted next time we are in search of a new administrator. I think that that type of discussion and that type of comparison needs to be done anytime you're hiring a higher profile public employee. So that's kind of what's going on the last couple of weeks. I will be back with an update here shortly, and have a great week. Once again, I just remind everyone, all of these meetings are public and decisions are made by those who show up. So I encourage everybody to show up. Make your opinion known. You live here, you work here. It's time for your opinion to be known, and let's make this a fantastic township.